There's a podcast that you will want to add to your playlist, Warriors for Christ. That's the number 4. Warriors for Christ is a Christian podcast providing biblical teaching without the doctrines of man. In other words, they like to let the Bible explain itself. The format includes non-denominational readings and teachings from the Bible. They also have interviews and whatever the Lord puts on their hearts to present. Life in this world can be very stressful and filled with anxieties. Warriors for Christ will give you the biblical information you need to help deal with all life has to bring. Warriors for Christ confronts many false doctrines which are pervasive in this age and what some call the church in a box. And they also offer a full gospel ministry. Find Warriors for Christ on Podomatic, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Player FM, Stitcher, Deezer, Amazon Podcast, and Spotify. Warriors for Christ. Share the podcast on all of your social media so your friends can listen to Warriors for Christ. That's the number 4. Add it to your playlist right now.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Welcome to the show, and thanks for tuning in, everyone. We got a lot to talk about today. Jen Psaki went into a panic at the White House briefing this week. We're going to get into that in a moment. But today, this morning, I talked to Bill O'Reilly. You guys remember Bill O'Reilly from Fox News?
That was amazing.
Yeah, we had Bill O'Reilly on the radio today, and he dropped a big bombshell of a story, which I'll talk about in a minute. But some people have asked me, right after the show was over, actually, somebody came up to me, how'd you get Bill O'Reilly? How'd you get, well, you know, Steve Kane and I know people. But
in fact, Bill O'Reilly called you.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, Bill O'Reilly, they called last week. It was, it actually was Black Friday. Mm-hmm. Black Friday, Kathy and I went out to lunch, and I got a call from Bill O'Reilly, and that's how that ended up happening. So it's nice to be known. And at first I was I thought am I being punked? So, but no, it was nice and it was set up. And then after I did that, I called Steve. I was like, you're not going to believe who just called me. He says, who? I said, Bill O'Reilly. He's like, what? He's like, Bill O'Reilly. I said, yes. I said, we're going to have him on the show next week. So that's how that happened. But Bill O'Reilly, the reason we had him on the radio this morning is he is doing a tour with President Trump, these one-on-one interview conversations with Donald Trump in a handful of cities. He's got 2 stops in Florida, and the first stop is right here in our local community at an arena where I've been at for Trump rallies. So it's a Trump venue.
Also, where you went with Laura Loomer to the CNN
town hall meeting on guns.
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas thing.
Yeah, that's true.
It's where the Panthers play. It's a bigger arena.
Yeah, that's when Laura Loomer almost got me arrested, and I'm not kidding. But I couldn't really understand at first why President Trump's doing this thing with O'Reilly. I didn't quite understand it because President Trump has had it, what it is. It's in these different venues, Florida, Houston, a couple other places, and it's a one-on-one interview with a live audience with President Trump by Bill O'Reilly, talking about all kinds of things. And I thought it was a little strange of a thing to be doing because President Trump does so many interviews, he gives so many speeches, he's done so many rallies. Mm-hmm. Why would President Trump be doing this? And then after having Bill O'Reilly on the program today, it made sense to me. He said, these are private events. No recording is allowed. The only video is going to be made by Bill O'Reilly's crew, and the only people that will have copies and rights to the copies are, of course, Bill O'Reilly and President Trump. And I think what this is about is a series of interviews, a little more friendly, but kind of like those Nixon Frost interviews. And this, I believe, is the beginning. It's not the launch of it, but it's the beginning building up towards the launch of President Trump's reelection campaign. And what Bill O'Reilly told us on the radio this morning, this was the breaking news. He said President Trump is building up a war chest, that means campaign funds. And when he announces he's got all those regulations he's got to go through the Elections Commission that don't apply now So he's just going to build up his war chest without all those Federal Election Commission regulations, and then he'll announce at some point in the future. Bill O'Reilly basically said, it was early in the morning, so maybe Bill O'Reilly went a little bit too far that he planned, but Bill O'Reilly basically made an unofficial announcement that President Trump is running. They're close friends. They're doing this tour together. They do speak. And Bill O'Reilly said, so that was amazing. Bill O'Reilly said something, too, that really blew my mind. Steve asked Bill O'Reilly if he talks to President Trump, which he didn't, they never want to say, He said that President Obama and Clinton and Bush have called him for advice. Isn't that something?
That's interesting.
Isn't that something? I've never heard anything like that before. I thought that was pretty. I like Bill O'Reilly. He is.
Well, when they were
interesting
when
guy.
they were around Obama and Bush and all them, Bill O'Reilly was like the top dog. He was the Tucker at the time. And Mark Meadows said in his book that's coming out, The Chief's Chief, that Trump actually enacted policies based on things he saw on Tucker's show. Like when he heard about CRT, he heard about it on Tucker's show for the first time. And he actually passed a policy about that the next day based on the guest he had and what he had seen. And at the time, Bill O'Reilly used to be the Tucker of the day.
Well,
not anymore, obviously. Now Tucker's the guy that they look to.
Bill O'Reilly was with Fox News Channel on day one, and I think you could make a case that Bill O'Reilly, with Roger Ailes, but Bill O'Reilly really launched Fox News as number one in prime time. He was number one,
I think so,
for the entire time he was on.
Yeah, he was integral in that network going up.
And Tucker's great. Don't misunderstand me, but Tucker would not be number one in cable news today if it wasn't for Bill O'Reilly. And Bill O'Reilly's show, more so than Tucker Carlson today, Bill O'Reilly's show on Fox News Channel, The O'Reilly Factor, was the show of record. You had to watch that show. Mm-hmm. You could not do the job that I do without what you were expected by listeners to have watched O'Reilly the night before. Not that it was a chore, but it's really a shame what happened with him at Fox News. Because
I really liked his show, and I thought he was
he's a no BS guy.
Right, and he really was the show that everybody watched, I think, more than Tucker, and really looked to for information and what was happening. I think more so than Tucker.
He did, He did a radio show for a short time up against Rush Limbaugh, and I used to call his radio show.
I remember him on A Current Affair.
Oh, yeah.
Or was it, wait a minute.
It was A Current Affair Inside Edition.
One Current Affair, wasn't that Maury Povich?
Originally,
yeah, he was on. I think A Current Affair, one of those nighttime magazine shows. Mm-hmm. I think with Diane Diamond.
He used to be a school teacher too.
That is amazing.
Yeah, but Bill O'Reilly's show was absolutely amazing, and Tucker Carlson's very good. Please don't misunderstand me, but Bill O'Reilly was better because his show was the show that everybody watched for what was going on. And when Bill O'Reilly called me to go on the Steve Kane show today, that really was that was pretty. And the thing is, when these things happen, we never in advance talk about guests we're going to have on the show for two reasons. Sometimes a guest will reschedule. That's a secondary reason. But what happens when you announce you have a guest in advance? I've had this happen before, and I once or twice, and I never did this again. People call them pretending to be calling for you and cancel them all the time. That's how liberals are.
Did you see this thing where Hillary Clinton read her 2016 victory speech and started crying?
Yes.
Where did she read that? This is so bizarre. I haven't seen it yet, but it's all over Twitter.
Okay,
It's so strange.
I just watched it actually a little bit ago before the show.
She was getting very emotional.
I was going to pull the audio off to play, but I don't want to hear Mrs. Clinton's voice. And I'll tell you,
and it's amazing because I thought she was a robot.
Yeah, let me tell you, okay, about Hillary Clinton with this speech. There's two reasons I didn't pull up the audio to play, because I did watch it a little while ago. One, it goes on forever. Two, I don't want to hear Mrs. Clinton's voice, and I don't think you guys do either. But the other thing, I'll tell you, and this will sound, maybe this is a strange thing to a lot of people. I didn't feel sorry for her watching the speech. But I was embarrassed. I felt embarrassed for her watching her read her speech that she never got to give because Trump beat her in 2016. It's pretty pathetic.
I'm going to make another one of my predictions here. I could be totally off, but I think she's going to run again.
She's 98 years old.
No, she's not. She's the same age as Trump.
She looks like 98.
I think she is going to run again. I think she regrets not running the second time. And I think that's my prediction. I think she's going to run again. I think she's going to get the nomination. And I think it's going to be Hillary. She has not given up on this dream. Her entire life has been about being the first female president. And her life is not over. This is, she still has time, but time is running out. And I really think that she has had time to sit back, gain perspective, and I think she's, you know what, I'm not done. I'm not going to give up. I'm telling you.
You know what, Kathy?
I'm making the prediction she's going to run again.
I don't want to take.
She might get the nomination.
I don't want to take your idea and turn it into mine, but I'm going to.
Oh, you never do that.
I'm going to take what you said and amend it a little bit because I wasn't really thinking about that. I just thought this was a sad, pathetic old lady who.
Well, that too.
That I was watching. I feel sorry for her. This may be what's going on because this is a very strange thing that Hillary Clinton did. There's all this talk of Kamala Harris getting moved out and promoted upstairs somewhere.
Oh, my gosh.
Maybe Joe Biden's going to pick Hillary Clinton to replace Kamala as vice president.
I always thought he should have chosen her as his vice president. I thought that would have been a really good move.
She's not the second banana typically, but now she's kind of desperate and getting pathetic, so she might do. But here's the thing.
It would have been her way into the top spot.
Well, this would guarantee her the nomination again, probably in 24. And I can't stand Hillary Clinton.
No.
And I know you guys, if you're listening to this program, probably can't stand Mrs. Clinton either. I met her once, actually twice. One time I got up to her. The second time I was just a little ways from her. But or the first time I was a ways from her. The second time I was right up to her. She's not pleasant. Everything you've ever seen or heard about her not being pleasant and everything, it is all true. And I do believe she's a chain smoker because when I was up close to her, her teeth looked like smoker's teeth. But I don't know. Just I was judging by her teeth. But
I don't know about a chain smoker anymore, but she might be a chain drinker.
Oh, well, that's for sure. I think she's a never stopping drinker, But she's a never Trumper and a never stop drinking her.
Right.
As much as we don't like Hillary Clinton, a lot of people love her. Democrats love her. Remember after she lost to President Trump, they did this. That woman ran into her in the woods, and then people started thanking her. Remember that weird thing? Thank you, Mrs. Clinton.
Yeah,
what was that about?
That wasn't set up.
Wasn't that weird?
Here's the question for the audience.
Whatever that was thanking her for.
If you had to choose, if you had to choose out of the two, Kamala or Hillary, who is the most distasteful to you? For me, it's Kamala. Hillary, at least, seems slightly competent and educated compared to Kamala.
She's incompetent.
But compared to Kamala, which is not a fair comparison because pretty much anybody compared to Kamala is going to look intelligent. But if you had to choose between the two, who do you dislike the most?
Hillary Clinton.
Really? Over Kamala Harris?
Yeah, Hillary Clinton's dangerous.
I'd like to know. Well, I'm not saying about that. I'm not getting all into the minutia.
Well,
I'm just saying across the board, who's the most distasteful?
I will tell you why. It's Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton was friends with Chris Stevens, and she left him to die in Libya.
That's true.
She didn't give a damn. She couldn't even be bothered with the phone.
That's
with
true.
a phone call from
that
him.
Is true.
So no, she's a despicable person. I know.
Well, they both are for sure.
But if she became vice president, that would be a problem because there are. I don't understand. I don't get it. There are millions of people who like her. I don't know why.
I think she's going to run again. I'm telling you.
And she's more electable than anybody else the Democrats have.
That's what I'm saying. So they got nobody else. I'm telling you. I think she's in a depression right now. I think she's been in a depression.
Her life has been a depression.
Well, I think she's been in a real depression since she lost. I don't think she ever got over the shell shock of that moment. And it was, they were convinced she was going to win. I remember her and Bill and Chelsea were jumping up and down, and she couldn't even come out and thank her supporters. She was so distraught. But I think she is going to snap out of it. And I'm telling you, I think she's, as long as her health holds up, as well as it is, I think she's better than Joe Biden on that front. I mean, she's probably thinking, well, God, if this guy can win, I can win. I mean, he's totally out of it. I think she is going to run. They got nobody else.
Well, there's another problem with Hillary, okay? And this is...
Well, there's many problems.
There's a problem with her that may not make her so easily electable. I'd forgotten about it till you just mentioned because I've blocked the Clintons out of my mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
But when she obviously had a breakdown on election night, and when she couldn't come out, okay, that's because she had a breakdown, probably screaming, blaming Bill and everything. She doesn't have what it takes to lead. You know, Joe Biden is everything we think is ever said about him and more, but he hasn't cracked up and been afraid to come out like that. And Hillary Clinton lost it that night. Hillary Clinton had two moments in her career where she displayed complete incompetence and
only two?
Well, two big ones. Yeah, the Benghazi, and then when
that was a big.
When she couldn't come out and concede on election night, had to send a man out to do it. That's not really a feminist icon kind of behavior, and that's not the kind of person you want as president because she cracked under that embarrassment and pressure, and she doesn't have what it takes. You know, Bill Clinton, when he was governor of Arkansas, he lost re-election and then ran again and won, but he lost and he came. She lost an election. She couldn't take the humiliation, and she couldn't come out like everyone else has ever done.
No,
in the modern era at least, and concede. So that moment, I could see a campaign commercial just focusing in on her cracking up and not being able to come out. Between that and Benghazi,
well, yeah, the Democrats don't have anybody else. That's why they ran Joe Biden. They had nobody else really, and he's just so out of it and old.
Yeah.
I really don't know of anybody that's as high profile. They try to do it with the Kennedy, and he came out and had like lipstick or gloss smeared all over his lips, and that ruined his career.
Yeah.
But they really haven't elevated anybody, which is surprising to me.
They don't have anyone.
They haven't elevated anybody in the party.
They have no one.
Like when Obama, they basically groomed him for that job. Remember, they had him give a speech at something, and then you started seeing him everywhere. He kind of came out of nowhere, and they were like, you know, this is the guy we're propping up. That's what what the parties do. I don't see them propping up anybody. And if they put their hopes and dreams in Kamala, I don't know what they were thinking. She didn't even make it past the first round in the primaries. Nobody likes her.
I was reading today, and this may be another reason Hillary's come out of the closet here with this. There was a story today that the Clinton Foundation revenue has fallen almost 100% of their income. They have no offices and favors to sell. And the Clintons spend money like drunken sailors. And obviously they have some money, but they don't have that Clinton Foundation money coming in anymore. And they may have blown through a lot of their money, and she may need to come back.
Another reason for her to run
out of
like
hibernation
to
make money. And the Clintons make money the same way Joe Biden does, being corrupt public officials and selling of favors that they can offer through whatever office they hold. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there is much, much more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
Have you ever dreamed of being wealthy using real estate? If you answered yes, there's a podcast you will want to add to your playlist. Big Fat Real Estate Checks, hosted by Marco Kozlowski. Available on all podcast platforms. It's a podcast about investing in U.S.-based multifamily real estate. If you want to replace your JOB income with passive income for life, host Marco Kozlowski's proprietary systems and processes can help you get there. And you don't necessarily need money or credit to do it. Marco has been in real estate for over 20 years and has learned lessons, horror stories, and an entertaining and fun way of teaching you how to win the game of cash flowing real estate without breaking the bank, without risk, and without using any of your credit. He has hundreds of successful students who used his systems and processes to replace their income and retire. Check it out today and learn from Marco. His podcast is filled with valuable information that you can actually use. You will learn how to build real, generational wealth. No get-rich schemes here. At Big Fat Real Estate Checks with host Marco Kozlowski to your playlist right now. Available wherever you listen to podcasts. From author Lyndon N. Smith comes a book that is popular science with a twist. It's both entertaining and educational. Why You Can't Catch a Rocket to Mars. Some personal reflections on science and society. Available on Amazon. If you are a lover of science and technology, this richly illustrated book is for you. No matter what age and what level of understanding of physics you have. Have you ever wondered why you can't catch a rocket to Mars, Jupiter, or Pluto, or even the nearest star? When you read Why You Can't Catch a Rocket to Mars, you will learn about what has been holding back science and technology for many years and what we can do about it. You will obtain a fascinating glimpse into a wide range of fantastic future possibilities that include artificial intelligence, androids, invisibility, nanotechnology, space elevators, interstellar travel, and more. The author encourages readers to reach for the stars and to realize a new golden age for humanity. You will understand why we need to spend more time and effort on looking to the fantastic possibilities of the future. And you will never view Sherlock Holmes or Star Trek in the same way again. Why You Can't Catch a Rocket to Mars. Some personal reflections on science and society from author Lyndon N. Smith. Available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook. Order your copy right now. Have you wanted to get involved in investing but didn't know how or even where to begin? Then visit ExoticExpansion.com. ExoticExpansion.com offer financial education and tools to help users just like you grow financially. And don't worry if you're busy at work. They will send you stock signals through text and Discord, so you just follow their calls on when to buy and sell. It's that easy. They offer monthly and yearly membership levels to fit your budget. Membership includes one-on-one coaching, full-time advice, and stock calls. There's a members area where you can view their weekly picks, have access to their top 20 verified stock picks that always are updating, as well as a net worth tracker, and there's a lot more too. ExoticExpansion.com's goal is to provide you with the education that will enable you to achieve your financial goals. ExoticExpansion.com also have an app that's available in the Android store. ExoticExpansion.com. Crypto, stocks, Discord, tech signals, long and short-term trading, value investing, options, and financial education. It's all at ExoticExpansion.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Well, Jen Psaki went into a panic attack at the press briefing. She was asked very specifically, not just about Hunter's laptop, but in particular about Miranda Devine's book, Laptop from Hell. Now, I made a YouTube video on Saturday about Laptop from Hell. I have Laptop from Hell, Miranda Devine's book, on Joe and Hunter Biden and their corruption. I have the audiobook. I have Audible, and with the Audible subscription, I get like one free book a month. And that's the book I chose this month. And it is really good. And the best way to describe it, think about how corrupt and immoral you believe Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and the Biden family are. Okay? Think about that for a second. Multiply that times 1,000. That's how corrupt and low-life and immoral they are. I mean, we all know they're bad people. And I'm about 3/4 of the way through Miranda Devine's book. Joe Biden and Hunter Biden are more corrupt than I ever dreamed. This guy, Joe Biden, doesn't get out of bed in the morning if he doesn't get a political payoff out of it. I mean, he is really bad. And what he's done, I'm not going to go through the details of it because I did an entire video on this over the weekend. And this is what happened. I was driving to Orlando on Saturday. It's about a 2.5-hour drive. I was going to Walt Disney World, and I got the audiobook, and I figured, well, I'll listen.
It's an interesting thing to listen to on your way to Disney World.
It's a long, well, it's a 2.5-hour drive. So
when you think about it, it's kind of funny.
The book is about 6 hours long, so I figure I got 2.5 hours there, 2.5 hours back. I'll get through most of it. And I got about halfway to Orlando, and the immorality and corruption was so intense I had to pull over at a turnpike rest stop. I pulled over in a rest stop, pulled out my phone and did a YouTube live
You had to
stream.
take a break.
I had to vent. I mean, I really needed a shower. Is that bad? And it really, this book, Laptop from Hell, it's a mix of many different genres, right? It's a political book. It is a true crime book. It's
a romance.
No, it's not romance. It's
just kidding.
What genre does 50 Shades of Grey fall into?
Like erotica.
Okay, erotica. It's erotica. And if you watch my video that I did over the weekend, I mentioned something about 50 Shades of Grey in the title and Hunter's laptop, and I'll go through a lot of the things that are in that book and you'll get an idea of it. But if you get the book, my recommendation would be get the audiobook, and when it's read to you, it's much more intense than when you read it. And I think it has a greater impact that way. But anyway, Jen Psaki was asked about this by a reporter, and she goes into a panic.
I saw
So
this.
let me play this for you guys. And
She got very snippy.
Well, she was snippy, but she was in a panic.
I should say snippier. She's always snippy. She got snippier.
Yeah, she went and had some gin and sake after this press conference. Listen to this.
Go ahead. Thanks, Jen. The Biden administration today put out a big report about addressing corruption. I want to ask you two quick and hopefully pretty easy questions about that. Shortly after President Biden's virtual meeting with the Chinese president, the first son's attorney said that he has finally divested from a Chinese investment fund controlled by state-owned entities. I was hoping you could commit to basic transparency about that transaction, including the name of the buyer, the dollar amount, and the timing. And the second question.
See what now that question there, it's kind of minor, but I put it in there. The next part is about the book from Miranda Devine, Laptop from Hell. This reporter, I don't know who he is. If you guys know, let me know in the comments. Hunter is claiming that he's divested his ownership in this Chinese company that he bought into without giving them any money. And this guy is asking, could you document the sale and give us the name of who he sold it to? Because obviously the reporter doesn't think that Hunter Biden sold his interest in the company.
Not.
Yeah, exactly.
My colleague Miranda Devine has a new book out called The Laptop from Hell, and I was hoping that you could confirm that the laptop is indeed authentic and not Russian disinformation, as you seemed to suggest on Twitter last year.
Well, on the first, the president's son is not an employee of the federal government, so I'd point you to his representatives. And as it relates to the book, I have neither had the time nor interest in exploring or reading the book. Go ahead, Tina.
First son's attorney
Go ahead, Tina. I think I answered your question. Go ahead. You can go to the representative of the person who's not an employee of the federal government. Go ahead, Tina. I think we have to move on. Go ahead. Is there anything the way?
Wow, I mean, she's in a panic. She does not want any questions about Miranda Devine's book
But
at
you ask her
all.
about Don Jr., she'll talk about him all day.
Even still today. Yeah, or Barron. You could ask about Barron.
Exactly.
She's probably got something to say.
No problem.
And, he doesn't work for the federal government. No, he's a personal representative of the president of the United States. He is involved in all kinds
Well,
of
Joe Biden works for
scandal
the federal
Biden.
government, and according to this
Of
book...
China. The federal government of China.
Well, yeah, but according to this book, his credit card was used for some nefarious transactions. So I think that is an issue.
Yeah, you guys, and I've heard from a lot of people since I talked about the book on Saturday. People have been messaging me, sending me DMs on Twitter. Oh, I just got the audio book.
Oh, they'll love it.
And you guys will definitely love it. Joe Biden, I don't want to start with it because I did a whole thing on it over the weekend, but go and watch my other video on it and you'll get everything about it. But if one member of the Trump family did 1% of what's on one page in this book, it would be over for the Trumps. But the media give them a complete free pass. Now,
remember how they freaked out when John Jr. met with that Russian lady because she told him they were going to talk about adoption or something?
Yeah.
And
she conned her way into a meeting.
And as soon as he understood why she was really there, he left. Him and Jared left.
Yeah.
So they understood what was going on. And as soon as they understood, they're like, bye, see ya. And they made such a big deal out of it. They talked about that for weeks and weeks and weeks and made it out so much more than ever was. But stuff with Hunter, what's in this book, complete.
He's getting diamonds
crickets.
from these people and everything else. Exactly.
Incredible.
Oh, it has nothing to do with it. Don Jr. was not an employee of the federal government either.
Exactly.
Jen Psaki.
Yeah, and you can having meetings with people is not a crime.
Yeah.
But actually transferring funds and paying for hookers on credit cards with somebody that works for the government might be an issue.
Yeah. Now, the January 6 prisoners at the DC Gitmo. Now this is something that's very important for people to understand. The Capitol. I gotta do these disclaimers because we have liberals who want to hear different things. We do not support the Capitol breach. Those who went inside were wrong in doing so. And if they're prosecuted, should, whatever the courts decide, okay? I would not have gone into the building. And I know you guys in this listening audience would not have gone into the Capitol building that day. Now, some people got caught up in a mob where they had to keep walking or they get stomped on and things like this. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but we do not support the terrible events that happened that day. However, what the federal government is doing is just wrong. Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz had a press conference yesterday. They were talking about some of the torture and abuse that these prisoners are going through at the DC Gitmo. I don't care who you are, right? This Maxwell, what's her name? Ghislaine? Ghislaine, is that her name?
I've heard so many different.
Ghislaine? I thought it was Giselle, but it's Ghislaine.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Some weird French.
Okay, she is a pedo groomer.
Yep. A
very disgusting person. It does, what she has done is some of the most low-life stuff an individual can do. But in America, when you're accused of a crime, you're charged with a crime, you're presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law and judged by a jury of your peers, and you're entitled to due process. Regardless, even this guy who's responsible for the Christmas parade massacre in Wisconsin, he's entitled to due process under the law, which includes speedy trial and all of this. The Capitol breachers, hundreds of them are still locked up. Some of them are held in solitary confinement. They do not have proper access to their lawyers. They've been denied bail. And there have been stories of them being beaten.
I think the terrorists in Gitmo get treated better. In fact, some of them have been let out of jail, but they probably got treated better than these guys.
Some of the January 6 prisoners have said that they wish they would get transferred to Gitmo so it would be easier on them. And one of the things which was really bad, Marjorie Taylor Greene said that some of them have celiac disease and they're not being given gluten-free food, which causes immense pain.
Yes, it does.
So Nancy Pelosi made some comments about President Trump, and I wanted to play this for you. This is her at a press conference talking about President Trump and the Capitol breach.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's Psaki. I'm sorry, guys. Hold on. I got my P people mixed up. Here we go. Here's Pelosi.
Go ahead. Thanks, Jen.
All right. Is everything Psaki here? What's going on? This is okay. We get it.
I'll never forgive former President of the United States and his lackeys and his bullies that he sent to the Capitol for the trauma that was exerted on our staff. When I saw what it meant to the staff, the way it traumatized them, it was frightening. That's something that you cannot just say, well, we'll do legislation to make sure this or that doesn't happen again. You cannot erase that.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that. First off, I didn't know that Trump had sent anyone there and was involved in that.
He didn't.
And I also didn't know that he had asked for Nancy's forgiveness. Very Christian of you, Nancy. And notice how she won't even say President Trump's name.
Well, I'll be glad when she retires. I think it'll be a really wonderful day when we don't have to look at her.
And I'm so glad she's not retiring to Florida.
Yes, exactly. We don't need her here.
But whoever you are politically, obviously the Capitol breachers were wrong. But there are certain things that used to unite us as Americans, and one of them was due process. These people are being abused. They're being tortured. They're not receiving proper medical treatment. They're being fed food which is poison to them. It's like feeding a dog chocolate, giving someone with celiac disease food with gluten in it, and it's just wrong. And where is the ACLU? Where is Amnesty International? Where are these civil libertarian organizations that defend the rights of prisoners from being abused? And these prisoners are being abused each and every day. Marjorie Taylor Greene and others go down to the federal lockup regularly to meet with them. They're sitting members of the United States House of Representatives. They're denied a House member, as far as I know, as far as I believe, has a right to walk anywhere they want on federal property. They're being denied entry to see these people. It's wrong. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's much more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
From author Roger Schaefer comes the book COVID-26 Zombie, available on Amazon. This book was actually completed in late 2019, prior to a lot of the events that are occurring right now in today's world. This must-read book was intended to show how the 1% are in total control, and the 1% wanted everything, but at a cost that was never imagined. Yet, this book imagined it all. That dream of the perfect world, according to the 1%, a world which only the 1% matter. As for the remaining humans, they would have no rights or freedom, living in dystopia and under the complete control of the 1%. That didn't happen. Instead, mankind has created not one, but two new species that are Z and zombies. Z to a zombie is similar to a relationship of a dog to a human, since fear has been used to control humans since the beginning of time. Fear is the second most powerful tool to use against people. The only thing more powerful than fear is hope. Hope is the one and only thing more powerful than fear. COVID-26 Zombie from author Roger Schaefer is available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and audiobook. Order your copy right now. Imagine if you could combine your love of crypto with just about any vanity or lifestyle theme. Well, now you can at StellarShop.org. Stellar Shop brings themes to life in cryptocurrency and is the originator of vanity and lifestyle money in the new and exciting world of cryptocurrency. Align your money with causes you care about, like dolphins and sea turtles or anything in between. From Woodstock to medbeds, they have over 100 to choose from, so you can buy, sell, trade, or swap crypto on the Stellar XLM network. Stellar Shop also has over 20 charity themes that benefit from your usage. Grab your favorite Stellar wallet and join the revolution and the future of money through blockchain quantum finance. Stellar Shop also sets up custom-made business crypto and payment systems for any business. Get in on the crypto craze, and maybe you can be the one telling that next crazy crypto story. Visit StellarShop.org today for vanity and lifestyle crypto assets. That's StellarShop.org. Have you ever heard of a visor? A visor is a new type of hat that mixes the classic fedora and the standard visor. At DropTopCompany.com, every purchase has a purpose. They have fashion-forward apparel, assisting in the battle against the opioid epidemic. DropTopCompany.com has produced fashion-forward apparel to immortalize all those lost in the crisis, and they want to spread awareness about the opioid epidemic. All of the visors are 100% handcrafted by those working within the company. All the designs were created by members of the team or friends and family. For those who dare to be different, their brand offers high-quality, unique products which inspire innovation and reinforce how beautiful it is to simply be. Their visors come in an array of designs. It's a classic look with a twist. When you visit the store, you will find the perfect visor to fit your fashion style. These high-quality hats are at fantastic prices, too. When you wear a visor, people will want to know more about you and your hat. Get yours right now at DropTopCompany.com. 10% of all proceeds are donated to battling the opioid epidemic. Fashion with a purpose. DropTopCompany.com.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. You know, Biden, I didn't realize he'd actually did this. Well, I knew they talked about it. Biden put together a commission to research hacking the Supreme Court. And his commission has come back. They've taken no position on court packing, which means they didn't take a position against it. This is really, we were talking in the last segment about the January 6th prisoners. This is really a scary thing because I understand and know that the Supreme Court does not have, in the Constitution, they don't have a set number of justices, and it has changed over the years. But for decades and decades and decades, it's been the way that it is. And the last time someone talked about adding justices to the Supreme Court was Franklin Roosevelt. And I want to say it was in his first term. I was talking on the show yesterday. I'd mentioned that the New Deal, most of the New Deal was ruled unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. And when that happened, Roosevelt started talking about increasing the number of justices on the Supreme Court. And of course, he'd get to add them so that they could keep the New Deal rule. If it's obvious what they're doing, they don't like the makeup of the court because it's a conservative court now because of President Trump, even though we have a wishy-washy Chief Justice, John Roberts, who's a Republican but can go either way.
He's pretty much a liberal.
He's like a swing vote.
What is the process of adding to the court?
No one really knows because it hasn't happened in the modern era. But the way that it's being talked about is they would just decide, okay, there's now 12 justices and Biden will get to appoint 3 more. And
that's crazy.
It's obvious why they're doing this.
Yeah.
It's because they want the Supreme Court to be a rubber stamp for liberalism. And you know what? If President Trump was suggesting adding 3 justices to the Supreme Court, could you imagine?
They would say it was criminal.
Yeah, even though it wouldn't be. But I don't think President Trump would do that, and most conservatives wouldn't support that either. And because the Supreme Court is not supposed to be a legislative body. And that's what they want it to become. You hear a lot of times conservatives talking about liberal judges, federal judges, legislating from the bench. And legislating from the bench is when a federal judge makes a ruling, regardless of what the law or the Constitution says, because of their political beliefs. And I'm not saying that conservative federal judges don't ever make a ruling based on their beliefs and not the law. I don't know of one. I'm sure it's happened. But with conservatives, you hear people say that they're strict constitutionalists, which means that they rule based on what the Constitution says. And there's even been rulings where conservatives that involve pornography, where strong conservatives like Scalia ruled in favor of the pornographers, because not that he was a pornographer or supported pornography, but he supports the First Amendment. And there have been other similar things. Liberals want to turn the Supreme Court into a liberal legislative body with lifetime appointed liberals. And, so they'll add 3 people to the Supreme Court. They'll all be 35 years old.
Exactly.
And they'll be there forever. And this is some of the stuff I've talked to you guys about the dangers of what's changed in this country so much, that the left have gotten so radical. Like, for example, the mayor of Chicago, Lightfoot, she had a press conference this week and was asked about these raids that are going on in retail stores in the major cities, California, Chicago, New York, and she blamed the retailers.
Yeah, it's crazy.
She said, well, the retailers, they need to lock up their merchandise, chain up their purses, and she didn't say, don't break into stores, do not shoplift, do not take part in flash mobs. If you do, she didn't say that. She blamed the victims.
Yeah, that's how liberals are. They love criminals because half of them are criminals.
Yeah, and by the way, the reason that I thought that the high-end purses were chained down and locked down in these high-end
The ones
stores.
I've seen are. So I had said that to you when this whole thing started. Remember, I called in the show and I said, because I've been in Louis Vuitton, I've been in Gucci, and I said to you, they chain down all their purses. And I think what's happening, because I said, I don't understand how they're just stealing these things. I think what's happening is they're unchaining everything now. And they're leaving everything unchained because they don't want to have a problem with these people. And they don't want to make things worse. They want them just to get out of there as quickly as possible.
If they have they go into a store and they're stealing the Louis Vuittons. If the Louis Vuittons are chained down, they have to get an employee, probably a manager, to get the key to unchain them.
Look what happens at the jewelry stores. They do a smash and grab.
Yeah.
They smash all the glass to take all the jewelry.
And if they got to stop and find a key to unlock the purses, it takes time, and maybe the person is nervous and can't find the key or is fumbling around with the key.
Right.
The robber's someone gets shot, so they probably are unlocking things on purpose because when there's a violent criminal, especially a gang, a group of criminals that come into a store like that or a home, what you want them out as fast as possible.
It's true.
You want them to get what they came for and get out as fast as possible. And locking things down like Lori Lightfoot would get people killed.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't care who the robbers are. When they come in, they're nervous too. They're still nervous. Oh, yeah.
I don't know about in California. They don't seem to be doing anything.
Well, they don't want
to
to get caught. And if they have, because they're in and out, if they have to be in there 10 minutes while they're fumbling around for the keys to the Louis Vuitton. But anyway, what's changed this radicalism with this packing to the Supreme Court and Lightfoot today, very radical ideas have taken over the Democrat Party. And they're in charge of a lot of things that's going on here. I mean, look at some of the things that de Blasio has done, and they've changed these laws where you can shoplift a certain amount of money without being prosecuted.
Well, they were just saying on the news today that 12 major cities are having huge spikes in crime. And actually, they said in Portland, they're having so much crime, they're refunding the police. And they're trying to get police officers back on the job because there's so much crime and people are leaving the city in droves. I mean, I don't understand how liberals think because I just think it makes no sense. But I think what's going on is they have a compulsion to control, and they feel that they feel that their social justice causes are more important than the law of the land. And they feel that if they give criminals these breaks, that they'll just fall in line and do whatever they say because they agree with them on their social justice thinking. No. And what they've done is they've created cities where business owners do not want to do business. Who the hell wants to have a business in Portland when you live in fear every day that somebody's going to come in and smash all your cases and steal all your merch? That's going to cost you hundreds of thousands or thousands of dollars. And then if that doesn't happen, you have to worry about riots and Black Lives Matter. I mean, who the hell wants to live like that? Why would you build a business? It's like, I don't understand why they're so against business. Maybe they want to destroy businesses on purpose. Maybe that's part of their plan. I don't know. It seems like they all think alike, at least the ones you see in the news.
Yeah.
And everything's backwards. It's like bizarro world. And to the average person, it makes zero sense. And I do feel there's a lot of Democrats on TV like that would never admit. They just don't talk about it. But they're never going to admit that Black Lives Matter is a bunch of, people that go around terrorizing everybody. And instead, they're going to say,
on behalf of the Democrats.
Yeah, they're not going to admit it. But in secret, that they don't like that, what's going on.
Now, this fire at the Fox News Christmas tree, okay, they made an arrest earlier today. And
it was a homeless
and everything.
man.
Yeah, well, I'm really surprised at how little press coverage this is getting. There's a lot of Christmas trees in New York, and the Fox News Christmas tree, I believe this man targeted Fox News because of their conservatism.
For sure.
And I believe that for a couple of reasons. There's a lot of Christmas trees in New York, and there are trees that are more high profile than the Fox News tree.
Yeah, like the Rockefeller tree.
And Fox News, they've had a Christmas tree for many years, I'm sure. But this year, that maybe this was just my perception, but it seemed like this year they made a bigger deal out of it than normal.
It's a big tree.
They spent last week talking every day. Oh, coming up on Sunday, we're having the lighting ceremony, and they had their big stars there for the lighting ceremony. They made a bigger deal about the tree this year, it seemed to me. And I think the guy targeted them. And they say here, it's a homeless New York City arsonist who torched the Fox News 50-foot Christmas tree, could be back on the streets within hours because the judge cannot set bail under the reforms. They say he's a homeless guy, and he's an Asian American. I don't know much about him any more than you guys do, but it's so interesting how they say, oh, well, he's homeless. He's a homeless. And they say that like, oh, okay.
Well, I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying.
No. But the way the media are portraying it, it's like they say he's homeless, which I don't know if that's true or not, because when this guy ran over the people at the Christmas parade, they had all kinds of stories about him immediately that turned out to be false. He was fleeing from a knife fight. He had just run over his girlfriend. So their timeline of events in the story, he was fleeing from police, all kinds of things that weren't true.
Because homeless people go around setting Christmas trees on fire all the time.
So I don't know if the guy's homeless or not. I don't know if, but even if he is,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't mean that doesn't hate Fox News because they're conservative. And he lit that tree completely on fire. It caught other smaller trees on fire near it. Mm-hmm. It's not that easy to set a tree on fire like that. I don't think it is, at least. I've never tried it, but it seems to be more involved than just getting out a big lighter and setting a little part of it on fire.
Yeah, because it's pretty windy there in New York, so I would think that if you just took a match to it or a lighter, like you said, the wind would blow it right out. It's pretty windy there. I've been to New York City.
Yeah.
It's pretty windy, especially in the wintertime. It's windy and cold, so I don't know, but I think Fox is really promoting Christmas more because their app has a ton of Christmas movies on it now. They have some original movies. See, everybody's getting into the Christmas movie game because Hallmark's been doing it, and it is so hugely popular, these Christmas movies. Now you see them on Lifetime. You see them on the Up Network. Now you're seeing them on Fox Nation. They have a bunch of movies that they bought the rights to because it is Fox, and they're running them, and they're making original Christmas movies. The Discovery Plus app, they have an original Christmas movie with Ree Drummond, the cook. So I'm going to watch that soon. I love the Christmas movies. Some of them are really bad, but some of them are very good.
Yeah.
But Fox is getting into the Christmas business now, which, no, hey, why not? You know, I mean, if they can make good Christmas movies that are good, I'll watch them. I'd love to see them put John Schneider in one.
Oh, yeah. Now, speaking
he's awesome.
Of Christmas, there is no better Christmas gift than something at MyPillow. Whoever's on your gift-giving list, there's something for them at MyPillow.com. And with our promo code KANE at checkout, Kane, there are huge and incredible deals all over that website, MyPillow.com. I just want to go over a couple. But whatever special you see at MyPillow.com, no matter what it says, you can take advantage of it with our promo code KANE. Like they have Mike Gallagher specials. Those work with our promo code KANE, Kane. The War Room, you can use our promo code for those specials. The television specials, the radio specials, the Hannity special. Whatever special you see there, you can take advantage of with the promo code KANE. Mm-hmm. But I just want to mention a couple because there's some incredible deals here. If you go to click on the radio listener specials, the biggest special of all is the MyPillow 3-inch mattress topper. It's the mattress topper that Kathy and I sleep on every night. It will change your life. It is the thickest mattress topper that Mike Lindell makes. 50% off with our promo code KANE at checkout, Kane, 50% off. This will not last forever. What's going to end up happening is eventually they're going to start running out of different mattress sizes because this is an unheard of low price, 50% off the 3-inch mattress topper with the promo code KANE at checkout.
I think for a gift, I think also another great idea is the bathrobe with the slippers because they have different kinds of bathrobes. They have the thick and the thinner one. And I got to tell you, everything we have from MyPillow is very well made. And I got to get the slippers. You have the slippers. We both have the bathrobes. I think and now they have pajamas. I think somebody said they have long johns now, like for the winter. He has really expanded what he has. Mm-hmm. So if you haven't visited the website in a while, you really need to check it out because it's not just pillows anymore. I mean, he has got so much stuff. You really literally can find something for everybody on your Christmas list. And I got to tell you, if you have somebody in your family that loves Trump, this is the best kind of gift you can give them. They'll use it all the time. Everything's practical. Everything is something they will use every day. And if you have somebody in your life that hates Trump, it's a great gift too, because they'll always think of you.
Yeah,
and Trump.
And there's great discounts on both the slippers and the robes as well with our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE. All right, Kyle Rittenhouse, he's doing more interviews.
Of course, and he can't stay away.
He did another one with Steven Crowder, and I said this since he did his second interview. The interview that Kyle Rittenhouse did with Tucker Carlson was perfect. Yeah. It addressed everything. And he really should have allowed that interview to be the interview of record for him. They would have used clips of that interview for years to come because of these lawsuits he has coming up. Okay, these defamation lawsuits. And every time he does an interview, there's something else happens. Kyle Rittenhouse is a big interview. I get it. But it's what happens when someone is doing an interview with Kyle Rittenhouse. The incidents in question have been discussed so much, people want to branch out on other things with him because they want to hit on something new.
And they want to ask something nobody else has asked.
Yeah, and that's when he tends to get in trouble. But there's two things that came out, and these are one of them is really good. He is still going to go to school at Arizona State.
Crazy.
And a lot of people think, well, how's he ever going to have a normal life and career? Richard Jewell became a sheriff's deputy after everything that happened with him. And Richard Jewell was more high profile than Kyle Rittenhouse was after the Olympic Park bombing. The Olympic Park bombing's forgotten by a lot of people, but for those of us that were around then, it was a big deal in Atlanta. And Richard Jewell was everywhere. I mean, everywhere. And he went on to be a deputy sheriff.
That was so awful.
They destroyed his life. That movie. Was it Clint Eastwood that made the movie?
Yeah.
I saw that movie, and that may be the last movie I saw in a movie theater. Was
that guy that plays Richard Jewell? He was in I, Tonya, which is incredible.
He's a great actor.
He was just in another movie we just saw. Another movie I saw a commercial for. He is a great, great character actor. I don't know his name, but he plays Richard Jewell in that movie, and I can't think of the name of that movie. But that was it really shows you how the media can take something and run with it and destroy somebody's life. Did he sue the media after that, or the police department?
Jewell?
Or
I don't remember all the details of it, but
if there was ever a case, it was that.
But Kyle Rittenhouse, he's got these defamation lawsuits that'll be coming up, and they're very, very important lawsuits against the media. But he was on with Steven Crowder today. Let me pull up this story. I wasn't going to bring this up, but the media, we were talking on the show yesterday about
you can't trust anybody in the media.
How they're feminizing men. I want to pull up the story because I know the story, but I want to use this is in Mediaite. Mediaite's very liberal. Mm-hmm. They have a video of Steven Crowder interviewing Kyle Rittenhouse, and it says, "Watch Steven Crowder makes cringe-worthy gesture while asking Kyle Rittenhouse about a potential girlfriend," okay? Because he's single, he's looking for a girlfriend. And I know that's kind of a clickbaity title, but I watched the video because I was curious about what it was. And what had happened was Steven Crowder, he's asking him if he's got a girlfriend. He says no, and he says, "Do you want a?" He says yes. Then he asks him, "What are you looking for in a girl?" And I was like, what a dumb question that is. Because
what do you say, big boobs?
What's he gonna say? Oh, somebody that understands or likes to hunt or something. And Steven Crowder made the gesture like big boobs.
Oh my gosh. And I was just kidding. I didn't think he really would do it.
Which is how guys talk.
That's right.
And a cringe-worthy gesture, it's being described by Mediaite.
Well, that's not Kyle's fault that Crowder did
exactly. That. He's 18 years old, and I like Steven Crowder. He
got everybody talking about him. Why do you think he did it?
Everyone's talking about Steven Crowder.
Us.
Everybody's talking about it and everything else. But that's not cringeworthy. I think that's a harmless exchange. That's how guys talk. It's a little casual.
It's a little crude.
It's it's a little casual and all that. I get it, but that's how guys. It's like Trump with the Access Hollywood, the locker room talk.
That's all right.
That's how guys talk. I know it's cringeworthy in this woke, society that we're.
It doesn't bother me. That's just how guys are. But they're trying to redefine what men are, but they're never going to do it. Men are men. That's just the way they are. They might act a certain way in public, but men are wired a certain way, just like women are wired a certain way. That's just the way it is. It's been that way since the beginning of time.
People, what it's like.
You got everybody talking about
it. It's like what they said in Stripes, lighten up, Francis.
Yeah.
People need to lighten up.
I agree.
He's 18 years old. Kyle didn't even say it. It was
I think what's weird is Crowder is a grown man with a wife, and he's like in his 40s. And I think it's a little juvenile. I think so for him to do that. So if you had done something like that, I'd be embarrassed. I'd be like, that's really immature. You're better than that. I think it was beneath him to talk that way, especially to a teenage boy, an 18-year-old. It's a little weird. I mean, he's a grown man. I don't think he should be talking like that to an 18-year-old boy. It's a little weird to me. They're not both 18 years old. Now, when Trump was talking to Billy Bush, he was his peer.
And that was in private.
You know what I mean?
That was in private.
And that was in private, but they're not the same age, but Billy Bush was a grown man. You know, he was probably like 40 years old. Trump was probably like 60, you know, so they're both well into adulthood. I think it's a little creepy for a 40-year-old man to like talk like that to an 18-year-old kid. I just think it's a little strange.
It is. I wouldn't do it.
Inappropriate, but
I wouldn't do it.
But he's being provocative in a creepy way, and he's got everybody talking about him now, including us. And but I don't know if Kyle's ever going to stop doing interviews. He seems to enjoy the attention. And, I think he should go to a more conservative school like Hillsdale or something. I'm surprised a college hasn't offered him a scholarship like other kids that have been in the news that have been offered scholarships.
Yeah.
I thought some conservative school like Liberty University or Hillsdale would have offered him one, but I guess nobody wants to.
Who knows?
You think that's
who
weird?
knows what he's going to end up doing? But, when he comes into these boatloads of money...
He's not going to end up being a nurse.
No, I can't imagine.
That's not
when
going to happen.
When he comes into all this money, I just don't see him being a nurse.
I don't know how much of a lawsuit he has because it's different than Sandman, okay? Sandman was just a kid, happened to be at an event, and the
DC.
cameras were in his face, and it was a one moment, and they took a 5-minute, not even, a 2-minute thing, and destroyed his entire reputation.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle actually killed people. He was a public figure. You know what I mean? So I think it's a little different. I'm not saying the media was right in what they did, but Nick Sandman was not a public figure at all.
Yeah.
He was a completely private citizen. Kyle, the rules are going to be different because he is a public figure. He actually killed people in self-defense, obviously. He was all over the news worldwide. So he's more of a public person. I don't think he has as much of a case as Nick Sandman.
Maybe
in
not.
that regard. I don't.
Maybe not.
I don't because Nick Sandman didn't do anything to get in the news.
Well,
like Kyle did. Kyle did something to get in the news.
When the thing happened with Nick Sandman,
you know what I'm saying? Nick Sandman was just standing there, literally doing nothing.
He was a tourist, and this guy who was not even Native American did this to him, which was a really. It's just
a different situation.
That
to
was
me.
just terrible, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I don't think Kyle has the same case.
It is a different situation, but the media are so irresponsible.
They are. I'm not saying they're not.
And his lawsuits, even if they're not as successful as Sandman's, Kyle Rittenhouse's lawsuits are very much needed to bring accountability to the media. The media have zero standards and practices anymore.
I'm not saying he shouldn't sue. I just don't think he has as strong of a case as Sandman.
Well, the problem is Sandman didn't go around doing interviews. And what I worry about is if Kyle Rittenhouse keeps doing more and more things like this.
He's more of a public figure.
He's going to, and he's going to damage his standing and credibility in these courts. And I just wish that he would stop.
You can make the argument, too, that if he really wanted to be a private citizen and wanted to have a private life, why would he continue to do interviews?
Well, that's over. That
and
can't
I
happen
think,
anymore.
no, but Nick Sandman, like you said, has maintained more of a privacy. But if Kyle's going to try to sue CNN or Whoopi Goldberg or The View, whoever, for soiling his reputation because he's a private citizen, that's not going to fly when he's still in the media and still putting himself out there. He's becoming more and more of a public figure. And like you said, it's going to destroy that case. If he had gone back to a normal life right after the trial and did no interviews at all, I think he'd have a stronger case. But he's continuing to be in the public eye. He's continuing to do interviews. So people are going to say, well, if it's really disrupting your life so much, why the hell are you still doing interviews and traveling around in limousines and stuff?
I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much to all of you. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air shout-out thank you on each and every episode. So all the names you're about to hear are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, Rick, Rich, Nick, D, Pamela, and Jacklyn. These are our top Patreon supporters. If you'd like to become a Patreon supporter, there's a link in the description of this episode, a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. And the direct website address is patreon.com/real Brian Craig Show. Patreon.com/real Brian Craig Show. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.
It's so important for kids to be proud of who they are, especially if they are dealing with a chronic medical condition. The book from author Julie Zamora, Patches, available on Amazon, is about a little boy who proclaims himself a superhero as he conquers and embraces his day-to-day life while struggling with the annoyance of extreme eczema. Patches is a story that shares experiences and struggles while also shouting from the rooftops that different is okay. This is a story of sharing and coming together, uniting and being proud of who you are. Patches is inspiring and relatable. It's a story all kids can appreciate. Kids need to learn that not all kids are alike, but they still just want to be kids. This book is perfect for parents, grandparents, and teachers for classroom reading. Order your copy right now on Amazon. Patches from author Julie Zamora.